Welcome everyone to this today's drop-in session. It's a fairly large topic, the new approval workflow in Spark that we've released recently, namely last week. This is an approval workflow that fit your need. This was really coming from customers' demands to have more control and more options in the way you can approve your processes to create a publish trusted version of Spark. So the governance process publication has been in the DNA of Spark since its inception. Before we had a fairly simple approval with just one approver that brought us so far, but you guys really needed more options. So we'll walk through that today. It's quite there's a lot of topics to cover. Please type in your questions. So please go on mute if you can, please. And please type in your questions in the chat and we'll cover them at the end. This new approval workflow brings many options, the ability to select multiple approvers with groups, in which order people need to approve, how many are notified, approval requests in sequence. I will show you all that. We can also control who can request approval. We can prevent self-approvals. We can reject approvals. So a lot of things that we got asked in the last couple of years, and we have addressed a lot of them. So let's have a look at the approval process, and then essentially we'll walk through that together. So the big novelty is that we need to configure approvers first at the process level, and then we request the approval, whereas before it was done in one single step. So we configure the approvers, we request the approval, then the approvers themselves can either confirm or reject. We'll have a look at that. And then once it's approved and published, and once all is approved, it's automatically published. There are two things we can do before actually setting up the first approver list is looking at the approval manager ability. I will show you that right now and do a couple of settings at the workspace level. So without a further introduction, let's get started with these abilities thing. So ability is something that we've released recently. I think you all had an email about the product updates. So in Spark, we've introduced a much more granular permission ability management in Spark. So before this capability, the admin could do everything, and the editors, they could edit processes, which was already very good. But sometimes we wanted to find something in between. For example, I want the editors to be able to manage diagram templates. So this is something we can do now. We can set up much better control which feature, who can do which features. Today, what we're interested in is the publication. So I can search, the list gets quite long. I can search here with the little search bar. Approval manager. So approval manager, by default, any admin and editors can request approvals, but we can customize that. Okay, we can decide that actually not all editors can request approval, but maybe only, for example, Jesse. Okay, so that's something we can configure now to have a better control over who can do what in the future. I will leave the defaults that is in your workspace if you haven't touched anything. Workspace admins and editors can manage approvals cycle. Now, as I am in the admin space, I will show you another menu which just appeared recently, the approvals menu. So this is where I have options about the approval workflow. The prevent process publication if an approved role and prevent self-publication. I will show you both options today, but so you remember where it is. It's in the admin and the new approvals section. So let's start about the actual approval of a process. In the collaboration menu on the left-hand side, you have a new approvals menu here where you can control, visualize, monitor all the approval requests in your workspace. This is a new screen that allows you to manage large amounts of approvals, as some of you had. When I'm going to approvers list on the left-hand side, here I can see the processes that already have approvers lists So here we can see this business process top level process has Daniel as an approver. And then I have a couple of, and then at the bottom of this page, it tells me the processes and documents without approval list. So I have a quick way of looking at processes that are missing approval lists. So let's pick one of them. Just for the example of today's, I will pick a couple of these drop-in session. Okay, I'm going at the bottom, new approval list for the selected processes. So I can set up the approvers for several processes at once. Okay, so here, this is the 4 processes that I've selected. I can even add documents as well. And then I can configure my approvers for these processes. So let's look at these options. We have 4 options here. Everyone must approve, at least one must approve, and if everyone is selected, either it's in sequence or any order. So first, let me add a couple of users, and then we'll add user groups second. So let me add 3 users, and let's walk through the couple of scenarios together. So here, I have 3 approvers, okay, Colin, Craig, and Chris, and I have at least one person must approve. So hopefully it's self-descriptive. The first one to approve, whether it's me, Craig, or Chris, the first one to approve will be enough, and the process will be fully approved and published. Okay. Now, if I'm clicking everyone must approve, hopefully again, self-explanatory, Colin and Craig and Chris needs to approve. What we see here is that we have something called approval in sequence. That means that the approval in sequence is really about the notification. That means that first here, Colin will be notified. Okay, I will receive an email saying you need to approve this process. Please carry on, click here and there. I'll show you. And then once I have approved, Craig will receive an email. And then once I have approved, Chris will receive an email. The little tip to know is that even though the emails are sent in sequence, if Chris connects to Spark application online, goes on your workspace, and he will still see that there's a process awaiting his approval. So Chris technically doesn't have to wait for his turn to approve, but if he doesn't connect to the Spark application, he can just wait for his email. The benefit is that he's not gonna be notified before his turn comes in. Approval in any order is pretty much also, I think, quite obvious. Everyone must approve in any order. So Colin, Craig, and Chris will, 3 of them, receive an email at the same time, and they all need to approve in order to move on. Now, it gets a little bit more complex when we start introducing groups. So let's say I have a group called, I don't know, Project Spinnaker. Let's say we are in a project, and we need to send a request to all the people in this group. There's 2 level of options at the group level. Everyone in the group must approve, or at least one person in the group must approve. So again, we are sort of the same logic that we have at the approval level. We have it within the group. So let's say I'm doing it here. So here, everyone must approve in any order. So in this setup, Colin, Craig, Chris, and all members of the Project Spinnaker group must approve. Okay, so that makes potentially quite a lot of people. I can have another setup with at least one, and this is where pay attention. So everyone must approve, but only one person within the group. So here, everyone must approve. That means Colin must approve, Craig, Chris, and the group. And to validate the group, it will be just one user of this Project Spinnaker group needs to approve. Okay, so the group, if you want, is considered as one single approver. And to validate the group, in this case, the setting is at least one person must approve. Okay, so if I'm going here now, at least one person must approve, and I have a group where at least one person must approve. Essentially, what I'm saying is that any one of Colin, Craig, Chris, or any member of the Project Spinnaker user group, the first one who approves will approve for everyone. Okay, so this allows you, I hope I didn't confuse everyone, but this really allows you to create the scenario that is the scenario that really fits your needs in terms of approval sequence. It could be approval by process owners, by a business process management center of excellence. It could be approval by maybe someone that as a process champion for a given team. etc., etc. So you can really set up the thing you need for your own requirements within your business. And something to mention is that here I have I'm setting up this approval list for these 4 processes that I've selected. Okay. So now these 4 processes have a list. I will just show you how it looks in the workspace level. So if I'm scrolling down, yeah, here I see my approval list with these 4 processes and the configuration that I have. So here we even see who is within the Project Spinnaker user group. We see that Chris is named twice. This is handled by the system. Something I can show you quick here. If I'm going to change the approval list of a given process, so let's say this drop-in activity type that was selected before in my couple of seconds ago, it will tell you, all right, this process has the same approval list as these other 3 processes that you selected before. So do you want to reset for all of these processes or just make it different for the activity types process? So I can go back to my setup here. All right, once we're happy with the setup, we can go and request a brand new screen again for those who've been using Spark for a while. And we see here that it will show me a approval readiness checklist. So this is very powerful in terms of already qualifying some processes and doing some automated checks for you to make sure that you're doing good work at this stage. So we don't have any other approval request in progress. There is approvers that are set. They all have permissions to view the process. But here we can see that some of the roles in the process are not yet approved. Okay, and this setting directly comes from the setup that I had at the workspace level. So I will show you again where it was. If I'm going back into my admin menu and under approvals, here we can see like prevent process publication if I have unapproved roles. Okay, so that did the job. That will not let me proceed with this approval request because it's not ready. For the sake of the demo, I will disable this feature for now. I will go back into my process and request approval. Here again, I'm requesting a new approval and it tells me this process has the same approval list as these 3 other processes. Do you want to do you want to refresh let's just for the sake of the demo, just do 1 process. So now we see that this check has disappeared from my list and I have another chance to look at my list of approvers. So this will go to all these users. Actually, Hamza, are you on the call?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. I may send you the approval requests so that we can demo it. So everyone must approve. I will just change for the sake of the demo. I will put myself and Hamza who are on the call. You're not in this workspace yet. Okay, let's put Craig and we'll just have the request pending. Okay, continue to request approval, so that's fine. Request approval, now I can request. All right, now it's preparing pending. So what I'll do, I will just refresh the screen to get the latest updates. And yeah, now we see that it's been requested to myself. Should have the approve button. Okay, to myself and Craig. Okay, so the request has gone. We didn't include, actually didn't show you it. Let's cancel that. I didn't show you the change notes. Oh, haha, demo effects. Okay, cancel. I need to write that down. Let me just request again. Request approval. So at the bottom, I missed that, but at the bottom, I can add some change notes. This is the initial publication of the process. Okay, request approval. Now we see that my change notes are here and the process has been requested to Craig and myself. Surprisingly, because I am both the requester and the approver, it should show as approved here. I'm a bit surprised that it doesn't. Okay, at this stage, all the requesters are notified of the approval request. And if I were to log in as Craig Willis, I could see a button here to approve or reject the approval request. For those who've been with us a fairly long time, rejecting a process is actually a new, rejecting an approval request is actually a new thing. What happens when you reject a request is the first user who rejects the request will reject for everyone, all right? We don't need to wait for anyone else. It will be marked as rejected and the requester will be notified, hopefully with a little bit of comments saying why they rejected the process, probably do some updates to the process and send it again for approval. Okay, so yeah, when it comes to approval, when it comes to confirming the request, as we've seen earlier, we can name many approvers, but if we are, for example, in the setup of only one person must approve, not everyone will actually approve the process. So they will be marked as skipped. Okay, we will see that in the status that they've been sent the request, but their approval is actually not needed anymore. So they will be marked as skipped. In Spark, once every approvers have confirmed their request, the process will be automatically published, and we'll have what we are used to see is having the little. I'm just gonna go here in this workspace just for the sake of the demo. We'll have the little published banner as we had before.